Welcome students to grammar class. Hope you are watching all the videos sent by us. Let's move on to the new topic, lesson number 18, classes. In the previous video, I had sent the topic phrases. If you have not watched those two videos, you will not be able to understand clauses. So dear children, before listening to this video, please go through the previous two videos. So what is a clause? A group of words that forms part of a sentence and has a subject and a finite verb of its own is called a clause. Dear children, the phrase we learned, a phrase is a no subject verb combination, but a clause has a subject and has one finite verb. So what is the difference between a phrase, a clause and a sentence? A phrase has no finite verb. Also, it does not have a subject. A clause has at least one. It has to. It only one. Not at least, only one finite verb. A sentence has at least one finite verb. A sentence can have more than one even. Okay. But the difference is a sentence can have more than one finite verb and it is a complete sentence. It makes a complete sense. A phrase does not make a complete sense. It can have some meaning, but it will not make a complete sentence. But a clause, if a sentence has only one verb, then a sentence can also be called as a clause. But most of the time, whenever we get a longer sentence, a clause can be a part of that longer sentence. If a sentence has two finite verbs, the other part of the sentence will become the clause. So a clause will have only one finite verb. Okay? So clauses may or may not be able to stand on its own. If it does, it means that it is also a sentence. If it does not, it must be a part of a longer sentence made up of two or more clauses. So a clause can be a sentence also, or it may be a part of a sentence. So phrases and clauses are a part of a sentence. Look at these sentences. My neighbor is a man of great wealth. Is a verb here. So we have only one finite verb. But of great wealth is a phrase. Now in this phrase of great wealth, you do not have a finite verb. So it becomes a phrase. Look at the next sentence. My neighbor is a man who owns great wealth. Now here we have two finite verbs, is and own. And we also are getting a word who. So who is a subject. Okay, my neighbor is also a subject. Who is also a subject. So from who owns great wealth becomes a part of a sentence. And in this part of a sentence, you have a verb, a finite verb, owns. So this becomes your clause. Understood? Just as phrases, there are types of clauses also, like adjective clause, adverb clause and noun clause. In this video, I am only going to explain the adjective clause. So what is an adjective clause? A clause that acts as an adjective in a sentence is called an adjective clause. You remember what is an adjective? Adjective describes a noun or a pronoun. So if a group of sentences which has a finite verb and it describes a noun, then that clause will become adjective clause. So an adjective clause describes a noun or a pronoun. It is introduced by who, whom, which and that. You will get a subject in the sentence If you have these words in the sentence, then it is an adjective clause. An adjective clause should be placed as close as possible to the noun it describes. Take the textbook exercise number 1. Pick out the adjective clause and tell what noun or a pronoun it qualifies. First sentence, people who have never seen a play on the stage have missed a great experience. Dear children, who have never seen a play. This is a part of a sentence which is describing the people, that particular type of people. Which people who have never seen a play. We can also say people on the stage have missed a great experience, okay, but we are using a group of sentence to describe that particular people, which people who have never seen a play. So who have never seen a play on a stage becomes your clause, and this part of clause is describing the word people. Understood? Next sentence, all that glitters is not gold. Okay, here the clause is that glitter. Which is not glittering? All, everything. So, all is a noun and that glitter is describing that word all. Next sentence, a red Indian who looked tired and hungry slowly walked to the cottage. We could have also said a red Indian slowly walked to the cottage, but we are describing what type of a red Indian, who looked tired and hungry is describing the noun or red Indian. Now, all these clauses which you see, the first sentence, have seen is a verb, is a finite verb. The next sentence, glitters, is a verb. Third sentence, looked, is a verb. So in this part of a sentence, when you are getting a verb, when you are getting a finite verb, it becomes a clause. And these clauses are describing a noun, so it becomes an adjective clause. Let's move on to the next sentence. You have taught me a lesson which I shall never forget. Here we have two verbs, have taught and shall forget. So there are two verbs here. So what is the next part of the sentence? Which I shall never forget. So which I shall never forget becomes your clause, and it is describing the noun lesson. You must reward the students whose essay have been adjudged the best. Yes, what is a clause here? Whose essay has been adjudged the best. And it is describing the student. Such people as have a strong willpower are not discouraged by their misfortune. Here the clause is as have a strong willpower, and they are describing such people. I hope you understood how to identify the clause. Let's move on to the next exercise. Supply suitable adjective clause. Here children, you will use your own words to describe the particular noun, just as we had done in phrases lesson. But remember, when you are describing that noun or a pronoun, please use one finite verb. In the phrases, we did not use any verb to describe. Just we used some words to describe that noun. But here you have to use one finite verb. Let's look at the first example. All the passengers had a narrow escape. Now, who are those passengers? They can be sitting near the door, or the passengers who were traveling by the train or traveling by the bus, or whatever. So you have to describe that passengers with a group of words using one finite verb. So I have written all the passengers who were traveling by the train had a narrow escape. So who were traveling by the train is describing that particular passengers. You can also write who was sitting near the door, okay, or who were sitting in the first two coaches or in the last two coaches. You can write anything. We should not forget those brave soldiers. Now you have to describe brave soldiers who sacrificed their lives on the border. Water dash should be boiled and filtered. Which water should be boiled? Water which is meant for drinking should be boiled and filtered. Dear children, I have solved only some sentences. The rest of the sentences I have left for you to try and solve it. Understand this lesson and try to solve the rest of the sentences by yourself. Let's move on to the next exercise. Replace each underlined adjective phrase by an adjective clause. Oh, this is a very interesting exercise. Already the sentence has an adjective phrase. That is, it does not have a finite verb. Now you have to insert a finite verb to make it a clause. But remember, do not change the meaning of the sentence. Okay, let's see. Students sitting on the last benches were not very attentive. So here the phrase is sitting on the last benches. Okay, so sitting is not a finite verb here. Were is a finite verb. Sitting is a non-finite verb, because sitting on a last bench is describing that those children, those students who were sitting. You are describing those students. Okay, so you have to change it into adjective clause. So you have to insert one finite verb. So what you will do? Students who. In the beginning I had told you who, whom, which, that. You can use it to make an adjective clause. Yes, so we are going to use those four words here and insert one helping verb. So it becomes a finite verb. The students who were sitting on our last benches were not very attentive. Okay, so it becomes an adjective clause. Next sentence. This book deals with the problems of a cinema artist's life. So here the phrase is with the problems of a cinema artist's life. So we will replace it. This book deals with the problems that a cinema artist faces in his or her life. Is this the way to treat an innocent child? Is this the way an innocent child should be treated? I hope children you understood. You need a lot of practice, lot of reading to understand this chapter, understand this topic. Once you understand these phrases and clauses, dear children, you will be able to write. Your writing skills will develop a lot. Hope you understood and enjoyed this session. In the next video, I will be discussing with you about the adverb and the noun clause. Till then, watch this video again and again and try to solve the rest of the sentences. Thank you.